definitely quickened up the pace, getting into the next games. But game number 4, so therefore the penultimate here in the Playoff 5 Showmatch hosted by John Slow is going to be a run-in playing with Teutons, and you're gonna be having Ganji with the Portuguese. Huh. No. Thinking I'm gonna be probably right now a bit more preferring the Portuguese, but we'll see. Thinking it might be a bit better actually at this point for him. Nonetheless, of course, you don't have any kind of extra town center, so this is gonna be practically predetermined for either kind of like monk siege push in the castle or just like fast imp into maybe something similar as well. Ganji has already shown that he likes to be playing with the monks, so I guess might be actually really something he's gonna be again doing. And at that point, of course, the Teutons are gonna be making good sense because they are more resistant to conversions. So possibly that could somewhat work. It could be then going for cavalry, some scouts, and maybe that could be the play with some kind of siege. Tough to say. Gonna have to wait for the further information and the decision making of the players. What kind of strategies they are thinking are gonna be a decent plan here with only one TC and specific civs. By the way, what are we gonna be having for Socotra as the civilizations? Windows capture there. Window capture rather. That's the maps. And for the civilizations, so therefore Portuguese are gone, Spanish are gone. Right now it's gonna be there for Teutons and Portuguese. So you're gonna be having Armenians and Malay. Interesting options for Ganji. For Socotra and Bengalis and Incas. I guess it's gonna be probably Incas for running. It's making more sense to me. Malay and Armenians. I mean, like, typically Malay, of course, gonna be able to advance pretty quick on Socotra, possibly. Armenians are gonna be having to look at what kind of bonuses they possibly have. Armenians. Mule cards, fortified church. They can be having the longswordsman possibly in the feudal age. It may be a bit interesting. Infantry line of sight. That might be actually kind of like maybe the play. Trying to go heavy into the infantry from Drash even already. And then you're gonna be able to maybe have an opportunity to take down the enemy TC. Even with all the infantry. Maybe that could be the idea. But well, first and foremost, you of course have to be getting through our arena. With otherwise the resources. No, a bit of a forward main gold mine, but not like too terribly. So therefore there's still enough distance for even if castle is gonna be and would be dropped somewhere there. So that it wouldn't be a complete disaster. With the stone, not entirely helpful too much. And of course the second gold, that will be just a bit of a backup in case there is something terrible happened in the front. And for the opposing player, for Ganji, he's gonna be having quite a challengeable second gold, but the main one is gonna be completely safe. At the top of the base with the stone not entirely being in that much of a different position to run in. Also quite a bit forward. Definitely something that can be played against. But really hard to imagine what's really going to happen here. I mean, like the Teutons, they also having fairly decent monks. So maybe it could be heading into something like a monk war practically. For the Portuguese, he's gonna be having also all kinds of interesting upgrades. He can be trying to go for, as he mentioned, potentially the organs. Probably will be forced into a defensive castle. Depends on the advance times, but who knows. Looks like maybe the idea might be a bit too risky to be actually going forward, because possibly running could be prepared for him with something like scouts or maybe even just like spearmen even. Could be an interesting option as well. But probably scouts would be a bit more curious. Because there should be a war for the relics. That should happen. As you're already moving forward now, that's gonna be the barracks. And that might be really the preparation for the scouts that I'm mentioning. Wouldn't be necessarily expecting that you're gonna be heading into some kind of tower rush. But looking at more and more villagers coming forward, let's maybe kind of not discount that completely. Interesting. Yeah, that kind of feels to me he might be actually wanting to drop a tower here. But it shouldn't be possible, right, to tower hop this. Because in like the original game, it was kind of possible from certain kind of like orientations of the corners to be tower hopping, that you'll be building tower here and you will be able to garrison on the other side. Kind of thinking that has been removed on DE somewhere after launch, but not entirely 100% positive about that. But well, the fact that I haven't seen it used for a long time should be suggesting that it is not possible, really. But trash is coming there from, okay. Are we gathering stone? No, we're not. Okay, so it's gonna be somewhat like a limited trash then. Like one tower. Can't say it now. Ganji, of course, wanted to be fast castling anyway. At least it's gonna be possibly forcing him into a defense. And therefore, maybe not entirely that easy castle drop once he's gonna be through. But the problem could be that he might be actually getting blocked on his stone that is forward. A bit unlucky for running that he didn't see it. Because if he dropped the tower about there, it would have been and could have been quite a lot worse. Though probably would be still able to get it in. On the top side in there from the stone. But nah, nonetheless, probably wouldn't be entirely that comfortable. And maybe it's gonna be still actually becoming a thing. We are not gonna be dropping a second tower here. We are still not gathering any stone whatsoever. But he might be with the archers able to actually really block the stone still. And therefore Ganji is gonna be quite a bit messed up. Luckily he does have this gold. So he can still prepare himself for Siege Workshop and Mangonels and Scorpions, whatever. And the monks will be still a possible gameplay for him. Is he gonna be trying to use the gold to block this, or what is he trying to do here? Okay, just like a bit of a quick investment into further stone wall, even at the expense of like a villager or two. Nicely played, right now messing up with running. You can see how easy it can be to completely block him for getting through. Sledge already on the way. But the other important part for no castle, so, and looking how much gold he's currently gathering, it's gonna be really just the monks again. He really seems to be enjoying that style of gameplay. There we go. Finally started gathering at least a bit more extra stone. Can say now it's gonna be almost having for a new tower. In just a moment, that could be blocking a few of the berries. That's not entirely that dangerous. Maybe actually dropping first and foremost like a siege workshop and getting in Mangora might be a good plan instead of like immediately going into monks. And also looking at the resources. No, he's gonna be having to choose only one building. But I'm thinking that really the siege workshop might be option number one for me. Let's see what he believes into. Yep. Siege workshop first. Priests, potential, or monks a bit later. And by the way, economically we are going to be having first gold and first wood. Whereas for the other side it might be somewhat similar. Just the first wood. Not gonna be entirely invested into gold. He doesn't entirely need it as much now. As you can see, Ranin is gonna be obviously stuck currently in the feudal age with the strategy that he has chosen. So I kinda wonder, maybe he's gonna be happy with the fact that he has basically blocked the kind of possible organs or whatnot. Maybe he was a bit afraid of that. But now, has he really gotten himself into a better situation and position or not? And it's the real question. Is he gonna be even getting right now stable? And it's gonna be good enough, even with the feudal age. Just getting a few scouts. It's gonna be more than enough if he somewhere breaks through to get rid of the enemy siege weapons. Doesn't really need that to be having any kind of castle age army for that. Okay, so already gonna be trying to somewhat block the path in here, right? So that he cannot be going all that easily into his base. So, still some kind of work to be done. For absolutely sure. But, oh well, look at right now, Ganji. He's gonna be so confident that right now he can be already pulling it off with the few Mangonels that he has. that he's already right now starting with the stone, so therefore he's gonna be... wonder if it's gonna be like a defensive castle, or if he's gonna be trying to turn it already into even counter-offensive. Because again, right now with the commitment that we already have here from running, the point is, you very often, if this is gonna be working somewhat, you're then gonna be going back home and getting into castle and dropping some extra TCs and echo in. But well, he cannot be doing that here, so this is kind of like way more all in it than under normal circumstances. I was kind of wondering if Genji is gonna be trying to get out for some of the relics. So far, not entirely seeming that way too much. Because right now being the problem, right? 9 range versus right now 7. So, considering we're not entirely having that much of a low amount of villages and even archers in there, and we are against a Byzantine Teuton, so therefore he does have basically double capacity for what he can be putting in. That's exactly why Genji was waiting for so many Mangonels in here, so that he can be taking them down as quickly as possible, as the HP are gonna be still same-ish, but the extra damage that like 10 units inside can be doing is actually quite a bit insane. As nonetheless, well, with the opening, therefore, we are gonna be having the scouts charging through, but unfortunately villages are gonna be powerful enough for that, both because they can repair and also because they can be even just like dishing out a bit of damage. So nicely played so far by Genji. It seems like Get Running is gonna be having to give up on this, which is kind of a bit of a sad news for him. So while he does have still some kind of army, he's gonna be at this point having to leave the really useful position in the enemy base. He's kind of like blocking Genji to a certain degree, and well, the hands are gonna be becoming quite a bit untied for the Swedish player from the Amigos. So how does it seem with the stone? 175 in there, so it's gonna be taking a long time still for like a, I don't know. So at this point it still seems like a defensive castle possibly. Whereas on the other side we are going to be still a long way from a possible castle age, but he's getting tons of stone, which kind of maybe... I mean, I guess it seems to be slightly waste of resources, but he might be wanting to possibly sell and then buy food for the castle. So I slightly wonder if he's gonna be having that thought, or if he's gonna be waiting until he gets naturally the resources into the castle. That's gonna be taking a really long time. I mean, like 35 villages currently for Genji, 40 for running, which is therefore the same, because 5 village difference for the advance into castle for Ganjero. But it still of course means that running is practically right now, his economy is working a bit faster. And that's gonna be getting erased once we need to be changing over. Barracks, of course. So that's gonna be just like for spearmen to block the enemy scouts. Seems like that it is. Not any kind of further continuation into anything else. I was kind of thinking if maybe getting his own scouts could be a variant. So far seems to be happy with the spearmen. And I think it's gonna be also there for time. Quite nice little hit onto the scout here to collect the relics finally, before even the opponent is gonna be castling. He's definitely getting quite a bit close, and he might be just gonna use in the market for that. 600 gold currently might be the option. And again, fairly similar right about now problem with so many units right now hidden inside, and therefore DPS being not entirely too small, and therefore having a need for quite a actually huge amount of bills there compared to what he otherwise has. So this is gonna be how many? 5? Yeah, 5 villages, which is basically a sixth of his economy. Not working extra on top of it, and he was also of course behind because of the castle, which is now gonna be getting neutralized. But well, looking at how it is developing, seems like Genji is gonna be right now freeing himself well in time. Whereas, well, for running, it's gonna be definitely attempt on a castle, but at this point, with so many Mangonas everywhere, he's just kind of freshly losing the position here. I'm not entirely certain if he's gonna be allowed to get like the castle somewhere forward, or maybe even outside of his base at all. We'll see. Running, of course, gonna be quite a bit higher on the total numbers. This is his whole army, 10 archers and 3 scouts. And even an odd knight is actually coming up. And again, quite an excellent hit in there. And yeah, well, right now just one knight is gonna be right now demolishing practically everybody. Yeah, this definitely smells like a Tranin is gonna be having to build a defensive castle. Yes, maybe actually Ganji is even gonna be dropping one on him. Apparently not entirely being that confident that he would be able to get it somewhere here in the front, even though I'm thinking he would be. Okay, careful about friendly fire. That will be one of the rare occasions I'm not entirely certain if I have seen. Your own mangonels destroying your own freshly founded castle. Okay. Yeah. Stray defensive, of course. Still gonna be having somewhat of an open gold mine here to the right, the main one. The secondary one is gonna be very much available if he's gonna be dropping a few houses here or whatever kind of the wall in. Then that's something like a iron reserve for him. So that's not entirely looking too bad. Castle finished here. You're gonna be getting right now. No, we're not gonna be getting Imperial Age apparently with Ganji. How about on the other side for running? That looks definitely very much like a Imperial Age. That he wants to be getting there. And of course it's gonna be a huge advantage having the trebuchets. So it's also gonna be at this point, I guess, relevant. If Ganji is gonna be maybe able to break through a bit quicker through the walls. He's not gonna be able to block the castle anymore. But at this point he's gonna be having some other things to worry about as well. There's the imp. Whereas for Ganji he's not really going anywhere all that much. 47, 46 villages, so still keeping the same. We really don't have any kind of losses of villages. But on the other hand, you also need to be keeping in mind, as he's gonna be trying to break through even with the petard, that really Ganji has spent a lot of time not gathering with plenty vills, so therefore there's gonna be like an innate difference in the economy. That is something, of course, where the extra resources for the Imperial Age are gonna be also coming from. So in the end, the trash might have actually dealt enough, kind of like proxy damage into the enemy economy, that it might be maybe even a winning condition in the end. Even though it maybe didn't seem like that it did as much. But any kind of disruption from like a general game plan that the opponent had, and at this point that definitely was achieved, is going to be, oh well, meaning of course suboptimal play, and that's of course what is leading to victories. So what do we have in the base? No, you can see even the gold is gonna be starting to run out. Second is gonna be currently somewhat secure, third one possibly as well, but they're gonna be a lot more vulnerable logically. Once possibly the castle is gonna be destroyed with the trebuchets coming up, with the redemption for Ranin, alright, and Monkenos. So I guess maybe goodbye mangonels. And of course, not much of a high chance on success on the organs on top of it. No, Ranin very much gonna looking to be tying the match here. So that we could be getting the game number 5, and that one will be the decider of who's gonna be the victor. As he getting the castle currently for Ganjano. Where is he dropping it? Wait, what? Is he just gonna sell it? Oh, he probably sold it. He probably sold all the stones so that he can be getting Imperial Age. Because I mean, like, he's not dropping the castle anywhere else, so logically has to be it. Haven't entirely noticed the switch in the resources in there, but yeah, well, that is definitely probably the only logical explanation for us. Trebuchet, of course, block printing on top of it. So this is gonna be getting quite a bit turned on his head, I guess, so far. This later game progress. Stone out. Are you gonna be getting a new castle still? Nope. Only at maximum enough resources for the defenses and for the repairs. As actually a stone that is not entirely too far away from him. So he theoretically could be trying to sneak into it. So you're kind of a bit low on the houses. It's also a bit actually, the effect of the sudden death, right? Because if you're gonna be used to standard gameplay, then town centers are gonna be giving you extra population limit. So if you're gonna be stuck at only 1 in a situation where you are used to be having 2 or 3, or maybe somewhere even 4, then maybe you're not entirely gonna be having the right feel for making enough houses at that point. Especially if you are an expert player, you're gonna be simply having certain ingrained way of playing and experience. So this might be somewhat messing up with you. You can say it about now 90-95 on the pop limit only. And especially running is gonna be getting close to even being popped. No, and there's gonna be another castle. right now in the middle of Ganji's base. Okay, oh well, that's very dangerous. Considering right about now it's running out of mines, unless you'll be trying to switch into Feitorie. That's gonna be right about now the idea. But that's of course quite a bit expensive, so I'm not entirely certain if it will be all that much viable. But yeah, right now. Exactly didn't hold long enough on that, no, as he mentioned. So let's see. 700 gold, that's gonna be depleted very quickly. Fortified walls? Really? That seems to be a bit of a waste at this point. I mean, like, it's gonna be a bit extra hit points, but nonetheless, with so many trebuchets around him already, not sure that's gonna be entirely that legit. But well, whatever the case, he's gonna be heading forward with the tower for an in. Bit interesting is that he really hasn't engaged in the second gold mine, or stone mine, sorry. He probably could have been having a good chance to even drop a castle somewhere into the middle of the enemy base. Not sure if it would be fitting necessarily here. But he can free the space of the monastery, for example. He does have the traps. Yeah, this doesn't have entirely that much of a chance of survival here. So that was, unfortunately, I think quite a bit wasted resources. But in general, it looks like we might be actually having ourselves a bit of a trap war. Interesting, considering it's gonna be evidently only 1 versus 3. It looks to me that maybe the result is gonna be quite a bit clear. Especially, let's see if they're gonna be hitting. Oh, they're not. Oh, well, yeah. I completely forgot, of course, that this is already not gonna be even necessary. We can just gonna go straight for the TC and get a victory that way. Since we are on sudden death. Yeah, that's even easier, therefore. So well played in the end by running. It was a bit of an eventful path towards the result, but nonetheless, it has been achieved. Now we're gonna be therefore missing only the last game here of the show match for the sudden disaster, or the sudden disaster tournament, hosted by John Slow and co-admins being Wenegor, Raznochinets, Potkeny, bazidrown, and Welcome to Rapture. And of course also thanks to all the map creators behind the maps. As that's gonna be, for example, Classic Arabia, then Arena, changes by bazidrown, Canberra, original script by Zetnus, Habub, original script by Krazini, and there's Hideout, and there's Jungle Rumble, concept by Marinto, with scripting and changes to a second TC or 2 TC star by bazidrown, Socotra, of course, Classic, and Suburbs, which is the Fortress script with changes to 3 TCs by bazidrown, and yeah, well, there was one last map, Zevo, originally script by bazidrown. So thanks to them as well, and let's therefore have a look on the upgrades. Teuton is gonna be currently at, well, where we have seen him earlier. You can say now quite a heavy upgrades onto the monks. Missing just a few things in there. Otherwise well prepared for the late game. And for Ganji, he is going to be having the gold as well in the end. But otherwise didn't entirely need too many things besides apparently light cavalry that he's invested into. And yes, the fortified wall, definitely. I guess it was some kind of like last Hail Mary and hope. And kind of knew where it's already heading for him. So not entirely that many units killed, lost, even conversions. There's a bit more of a building warfare and siege warfare in there with the towers. But well, nonetheless, quite an interesting game. 2 and 3, so that's gonna be 2,500 without 6, so that's gonna be 19. 7, 9, 500 resources more for Ganji than for running. But yeah, that earlier Imperial Age and the trebuchets, that seems to be quite a bit of a goal to aim for. We have a few relics, nice extra gold, but obviously not gonna be saving you against the siege weapons. GG.